The world will always press your buttons. People will test you, circumstances will shake you, and life will throw unexpected punches. And in those moments, your first impulse, your instinct, will be to react. To snap, to shout, to retaliate, to defend, to strike back. That's how we're wired. That's the primal system kicking in. But just because it's natural doesn't mean it's powerful. Instinct is easy. Anybody can react. You cut someone off in traffic, they honk. You say something offensive, they lash out. But that's not strength, that's reactivity. That's living on autopilot, letting every outside force control your internal state. That's living as a puppet, your strings pulled by everyone and everything around you. Restraint, though restraint is rare, restraint is deliberate. Restraint takes strength. When someone disrespects you and you don't respond in kind, not because you're weak, not because you're scared, but because you've made the decision not to give your energy away, you are in control. That's mastery. That's leadership over yourself, and that's the beginning of freedom. You see, reaction is about them. Restraint is about you. It's not about letting people walk all over you. It's not about swallowing pain or pretending everything's okay. It's about understanding that you don't have to attend every battle you're invited to. Not every insult deserves your energy. Not every challenge is worth your presence. There is a kind of quiet strength that comes from being able to hold back, to wait, to breathe, to think, and then decide with clarity what response, if any, is truly required. Imagine two people in a conflict. One of them explodes, shouting, throwing blame, demanding to be heard. The other listens, observes, holds their center. The one who reacts quickly seems powerful at first, loud, expressive, full of fire. But it's the one who stays still, who thinks before moving, who speaks last with precision and calm. They are the one who truly commands the room, because they're not driven by emotion. They're guided by principle. When you learn to restrain yourself, you create space. Space to see clearly, space to choose wisely, space to lead. You move from a life of reaction to a life of creation. You become the architect of your responses, not the prisoner of your emotions. Think about how many moments have been ruined by reactions we wish we could take back. Words we spit out in anger, decisions made in frustration, actions we regret. Most of those things didn't come from a place of wisdom. They came from a lack of control, from letting the heat of the moment override the bigger picture. And that's the danger of reaction. It pulls us away from who we want to be and into who the moment tempts us to become. But restraint, that's different. Restraint builds. Restraint is strength with a leash. It says, I could respond. I have the capacity, but I choose not to, because I value my peace more than this temporary high of retaliation. That kind of self-possession creates gravity. People feel it when you don't flinch, when you don't rise to their bait, when you walk through fire with ice in your veins. It unsettles them, and it earns you respect, not because you dominate others, but because you dominate yourself. And here's the truth. When you choose restraint over reaction, you aren't being passive. You're being strategic. You're stepping into a higher level of power, one that isn't dictated by chaos or emotion, but by clarity and purpose. You're no longer dancing to the rhythm of someone else's drum. You're creating your own beat, and the world begins to respond to you differently. So the next time life tries to pull a reaction out of you, remember this: reaction is instinct. Restraint is mastery. One is automatic, the other is intentional. One drains you, the other strengthens you. One feels good for a second, the other makes you good for a lifetime. Choose the quiet path of power. Choose the control that most people will never develop, because in a noisy world, calm is rare, and restraint is the real revolution. Most people misunderstand silence. They think if you're not speaking, if you're not reacting, if you're not pushing back right away, then you're being weak, that you're being passive, that you've lost the moment. But that's only because they haven't learned to feel the weight behind real silence. They don't understand the difference between submission and strategy. Silence, when chosen, not forced, is a weapon. Not a loud one, not a flashy one, but one of the most powerful, because it throws people off. It forces them to fill the space you've deliberately created. It disrupts the rhythm they're used to. Most people expect immediate reactions. They count on it, they feed off it, but when you don't respond, when you don't play their game, you force them to confront their own energy, and that's where your power begins to rise. Silence gives you clarity. When the world is yelling, when the pressure is high, when emotions are flying all over the place, your silence becomes your shelter. You step back from the noise, not because you're running, but because you're watching. Listening, thinking, calculating. Silence is how you learn the terrain before making your next move. It's the space between the tension and the strike. And only those who understand power know how to stand still while the world spins around them. You don't win by being the loudest voice in the room. You win by being the calmest mind. You win by holding your center while everyone else loses theirs. You win by listening so closely that you hear not just the words, but the intentions behind them. You let people reveal themselves, and they always do if you stay quiet long enough. This isn't about silence for silence's sake. It's about deliberate silence, strategic silence. The kind of silence that comes from strength, from self-control, from knowing that your voice doesn't need to be used just to prove you exist. Your energy doesn't need to be wasted defending what doesn't need defending. Sometimes the strongest position is simply not responding at all. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you've already said enough through your presence, your calm, your discipline. Think about how many times people say things they regret because they didn't give themselves space. Think about how many situations could have been diffused if one person had just stayed silent instead of throwing fuel on the fire. Silence doesn't escalate, it contains, it cools things down, it keeps you in command when everything else feels like it's spiraling out of control. And that's the difference. A reactive person uses words to regain control. But a strategic person uses silence to stay in control. That silence isn't emptiness, it's full of intent. It says, I hear you, I see you, and I'll respond if I decide it's worth it. But you don't control when or how that happens. There's something unnerving about someone who doesn't react when you expect them to. Something that makes people second guess themselves. That's the hidden power in silence. It's psychological, emotional. It shifts the dynamic without raising your voice, without lifting a finger. And when you move again, when you speak, when you act, your words carry weight, because you didn't just throw them into the wind. You waited, you chose, you aimed. Silence also keeps your energy intact. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to defend yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That kind of restraint saves you from battles that were never worth fighting in the first place. It gives you time to observe what's real, not what your ego wants to see. And that's the key. Silence puts the ego in check. It says, I don't need to win this moment to win the war. It takes the long view. It plays for peace, not just pride. And when you operate from that space, you make better moves. You stay grounded. You make decisions from wisdom, not from impulse. That's how you lead. That's how you build a life that doesn't get hijacked by every provocation that crosses your path. So the next time you feel that pull to react, to explain, to shout, to prove yourself, pause. Breathe. Hold your ground. Let the silence do what it does. Let it protect you. Let it guide you. Let it give you room to think, to plan, to see clearly, because silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And in a world full of noise, the one who holds their silence holds the power. Most people live like they are asterisk their emotions. I'm angry, they say. I'm anxious. I'm broken. But the truth is, that's not who you are. That's what you're feeling asterisk. There's a massive difference. Because you can feel a storm without asterisk becoming asterisk the storm. You can observe the fire in your chest without setting the world around you on fire, and that shift, just that one shift, changes everything. You are not your anger. You are not your sadness. You are not your fear. You are the one watching it all rise, pass through you and fall away. You are the sky. Your emotions, they're just weather, temporary, changing, always in motion. And once you start seeing it that way, you don't get hijacked by your emotions anymore. You don't drown in them. You watch them like a river flowing by. You feel them without reacting to them, and in that space, right there is where your power lives. Now, that doesn't mean you suppress what you feel. Suppression is weakness in disguise. Suppression is pretending you're unaffected while the pressure keeps building inside. That's not strength. That's denial. I'm talking about awareness, conscious awareness. You look at your emotion, you name it. You say, I feel angry, I feel afraid, I feel disappointed. But you don't become it. You notice it. Like a bird perched outside your window or a wave that rises and falls. You don't chase it, you don't run from it, you sit with it, and it passes. The moment you identify with an emotion, it owns you. But the moment you observe it, you begin to take ownership of yourself . And that's a shift most people never make. They live their entire lives reacting. They ride the highs, crash in the lows, and call it normal. But being emotionally reactive isn't natural. It's untrained. It's undisciplined, and it keeps people stuck. Think about the times you've made poor decisions, times you've lashed out, walked away from something important, let pride win. 9 times out of 10, it wasn't because you didn't know what to do. It's because you got pulled into a feeling that didn't last. That's the trap. You make permanent moves based on temporary emotions. You hurt someone you love because you got swept up in a moment. You abandoned something that mattered because fear crept in. But once you understand that you are not your emotions, you start creating space between feeling and reaction . You reclaim your mind. The difference between someone who's mastered themselves and someone who's constantly at war within isn't that the master never feels emotion. It's that they know how to sit with it without being ruled by it. They can be furious and still respond with clarity. They can be anxious and still move forward. They can feel sadness and still stay committed because they're anchored. They're grounded in something deeper than just emotional waves. They've trained themselves to watch the storm from the shore instead of getting tossed around in the middle of it. And here's something people don't talk about enough. Once you stop identifying with every emotion that passes through you, you actually start experiencing your life more deeply. You're no longer numbing, running, escaping, reacting. You're living . You're present, and presence doesn't mean perfection. It means you're real, you're awake. You're not lost in mental stories. You're not dragged through the mud by every old pattern. You're here, and you're watching and that watcher in you, that still presence behind the noise, that's the real you, the calm behind the chaos, the anchor in the middle of the storm. That's where clarity comes from. That's where real strength is built. Because when you stop believing every thought that pops into your mind, when you stop letting your emotions drive the steering wheel, you begin to walk through this world with calm, deliberate energy. And people can feel it, they sense it. They don't know why you don't flinch, why you don't snap, why you don't get caught up in the chaos. But they know you're not like the rest. You'll still feel everything. But it won't control you. You'll still have storms inside, but you won't drown. You'll be free to choose how you move, not because the emotion is gone, but because you're finally no longer its prisoner. So don't try to outrun your emotions. Don't pretend they don't exist. Just remember, you are not them. You are the one watching, and the one who watches is always free,